Hello, I'm Lori Steiner, sitting in for Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, we'll get to the bottom of why a colonoscopy is essential for combating cancer. Then, getting tense over your taxes? Let AARP do them for free. We'll document the details. Teeth troubles? We'll help you nip them in the bud so your smile can blossom. Plus, we'll unpack memories of travels from time past and how to keep up with the escalating costs of nursing home care.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. Yes, we all learned to count when we were kids, but then when we hit middle age, we were asked to learn new math, cholesterol counting. So what's your HDL and what's your LDL? Do you have good ratios or bad? Do your numbers add up to require medication? Today the equations have changed, and Dr. Alice Petroulis is here to give us a lesson about cholesterol counting. Dr. Petroulis is the Director of Care Management for Metro Health. So welcome to the show. This is important stuff. So before we discuss what's new, can you tell us, how does cholesterol affect us?
Okay. Well, there's two types of cholesterol you've probably heard about: the HDL, the high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, and LDL, the low-density lipoprotein cholesterol. I call them the good guy and the bad guy. The bad guy is the LDL. You want that to be as low as possible. What does the LDL do? Well, it tends to get deposited inside vessels along the wall. And when it's deposited there, white cells come in, try to digest that LDL. Over time, a lump or a mass is formed. It gets bigger and bigger and starts to block off the lumen, the interior of the vessel. And then the worst thing that happens then is that plaque, that lump, ruptures. And then a blood clot forms to cover that area. And when a blood clot forms, it totally obstructs the vessel. If that vessel happens to be your coronary artery, you're getting a heart attack. If it's your carotid artery, stroke.
Oh my goodness. So we were talking about the new math. So wasn't the old cholesterol rules, those levels, enough to determine whether or not we needed the medication?
Well, it was a little bit complicated. You'd have to figure out what the risk factors were for the patient, and then depending on a number of risk factors, how many would put you in which category. Depending on which category, that would define the threshold at which you would start medication.
So what are the risk categories?
The risk categories, we think about age, sex, race, your blood pressure, your cholesterol numbers, your smoking history, that's a big one, and whether you have diabetes.
Okay, and heart attack, I think, is a
if you've had a heart attack. The new regulations are a little bit cleaner and easier. Basically, it's easy to think about just 4 questions. The 4 questions are: do you have heart disease, or have you had a heart attack? Do you have diabetes? Is your LDL cholesterol greater than 190? And is your 10-year risk for heart attack more than 7.5%?
Okay, now I can see the first 3 of those. If you don't know it, you can find it out, but how do you know about that last one?
Well, I'm lucky enough that I work in a hospital that has an electronic health record, so we have this very slick macro that I just type in .10, .10, hit enter, and it pulls all the information needed for that magic equation. And then I find out what the risk is. Is the patient's risk 3%? Is it 5%? If it's more than 7.5%, let's start talking about medication.
Okay, so what if you don't have access to the cool little calculator that you do?
Those cool little calculators are also seen. You can find them on the internet.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, you could fill them out, and that's where you have to know. You plug in your age, sex, race, your smoking history, some of your numbers, etc., and then you can calculate your own risk.
Oh, is that a good idea?
Yes, it is. But remember, these are guidelines. They don't take into account your family history. So if you have a significant family history, you want to talk to your doctor, even though your risk is maybe 5%. Does 5% and a family history make it more likely that you should? There's some evidence that the calculation is an over-exaggeration of the risk. Some critics have said. So you need to think of these as guidelines and talk to your doctor. You may need to be on a statin.
Anything else we can do besides the meds?
The same thing I say all the time. Exercise.
Every doctor.
Every doctor will say that, or should say that. Exercise 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 3 to 4, 5 times a week. That'll help bring down your risk.
Okay.
And then eat well. Eat well, lower your, watch your salt, watch your trans fats, watch your saturated fats. And if you're overweight, get your weight under control.
All right, always good tips. So if your cholesterol counting skills could use a tutor, it's time to see your doctor. Together you can calculate the correct answers for you. My thanks to Dr. Petroulis for joining us today.
Find out more by calling Metro Health at 216-778-7800 or log on to www.metrohealth.org. Next, making tax time less taxing. When discussing ethical issues of Greek life back in BC, Socrates had a flair for philosophy. Though in his time, it may have sounded more like an appetite for arguing. But talk is cheap, so how did this famous philosopher make any money? We'll tell you his trade when we return.
My husband and I got into the car and we couldn't do it. We couldn't pick one baby over the other. Coming to Metro changed the entire pregnancy. We actually started to become happy with our situation. We owe a big thank you to Metro. I can't imagine our family without Sam.
You could say Socrates was caught between a rock and a hard place, since he was trained for the trade of stone cutting, but struck gold with his wise words. And even though orating did not increase his income, he chose to talk the talk rather than wreck a rock.
While tax help is always welcome, the price we have to pay for it can be a tax on our budgets. But now, thanks to AARP, seniors can take advantage of free tax help. AARP Tax Aid volunteer Sheila Holmes is here to freely talk about this free tax help. And we welcome her to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So how does this free tax program work?
Well, you can find an AARP tax aid program by going on their website or by calling them. We'll give you that information at the end of the show. When you get that information, you need to call and make an appointment and come in to the site nearest you. When you come in, you need to bring your Social Security card or cards if you have a family, a picture ID, last year's tax return, all of 2013 tax documents. If you think you can itemize, you need to bring in your totals, not your receipts.
Oh, okay.
For
so you kind of do a little legwork first and put that together.
Right, exactly. Okay. For seniors, it's very important that you add up your medical expenses. You may not be able to itemize on the federal return, but it may help you on your Ohio return.
Ooh, that's a good point. So once you make the appointment, you come in, we sit down with a volunteer like you?
Yes, you do. When you come in, you're greeted by an intake volunteer who will take down all the information necessary to file your return. Then that goes to a volunteer who puts it into the computer. Once this is completed, your return is printed and it goes to a quality review volunteer who goes over the entire return. This way, 3 sets of eyes have looked at your return for accuracy.
Good quality control there, yes.
Yes,
You
it
always
is.
make it more than one eye taking a look at anything.
Exactly.
So once the intake, you sit down with somebody, they put everything in, it's double checked, and then you guys just mail the tax return in?
No, we electronically file the tax return. So once you sign the necessary paperwork, you're basically done. And when you file electronically, you can get your refund within 7 to 15 days.
Ooh.
And most people choose to have it deposited into their bank account.
Is that
But
even faster than like getting a check?
It's more secure.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And you can put it in your checking or your savings account. And that is the taxpayer's choice, though. Okay?
So is it faster to take it into direct deposit than it would be if you get the
Sure.
check?
Doesn't go by snail mail.
Yeah, that's true.
And when we file your federal return, we also electronically file your state return and your school district return, where it's applicable.
Okay, so you
Okay.
even know about the school district stuff. Pretty nice. So the people who are handling these tax returns, the volunteers, are they CPAs or any kind of special training, or how does that work?
No, we're not CPAs. We're volunteers, and we have to take training. and then we have to pass an IRS test, and the IRS has standards that we all have to meet, and they actually do stop in at the sites to make sure that these standards are being met.
Is the test hard?
No, not if you study.
Not if you know what you're doing, right?
Right.
Can any senior take advantage of this free tax help?
Well, just about any senior, and so can low to moderate income families and singles. But we only do personal returns. We don't do businesses or farms or rentals, etc.
How many people have you helped?
Well, I'd like to give you a few statistics. Last year in Ohio alone, we had 250 sites, 1,500 volunteers that helped get taxpayers $63 million in refunds.
Holy cow.
And nationally, we had 5,800 sites with over 35,000 volunteers who reached 2.6 million taxpayers.
Oh my goodness. Great program.
It is a great program.
So if you're in turmoil over your taxes, now you know AARP Tax Aid can help for free. To find the location near you, don't need to tax your brain, you just use the information that's coming up next. My thanks to Sheila Holmes for sharing such welcome news.
Thank you.
To find tax aid help near you, call AARP in Ohio toll-free at 1-888-227-7669 or visit www.aarp.org/taxaid. Next, cultivating a spectacular smile. Looking for places to go, things to do? Welcome to our community calendar. Does a weekly harvest of healthy farm fresh food sound tasty? Then dig into the information provided about produce at a free farm tour of Greenfield Berry Farm in Peninsula and treat yourself to a sumptuous sample. To find out more about this community-supported agriculture option, call 330-657-2924 or plant yourself at your computer and click to www.greenfieldberryfarm.com.
I can't think of a year when we've been so ready for spring. We're ready for sunny days and clear skies and warmer temperatures. The positive change in weather is sure to make us smile, but maybe your smile needs a positive change as well. Dentist Steve Marsh is here with fresh ideas for terrific looking teeth. So,
thanks, Lori. And
welcome
I'll tell you,
back.
I'm a baseball fan, so I've been really ready for
Oh,
spring.
yes, I bet. So the change in the seasons, like we're getting to here, it's out with the old and with the new. So what's new for creating a nice brand new smile?
Well, you know, in dentistry today, we have a lot of new materials and a lot of new techniques. And with that in mind, when you visit your dentist, either a new dentist who's taking an overall new look at you, or your regular dentist for regular checkups, we have to weigh what's good and what's bad. And that's one of the things when patients come in and they see me spending time or your dentist spending time, they're evaluating, is this thing new? Is this working or is it not working? Is there breakdown or not? And that's really the reason you want to come see the dentist on a regular basis. You catch problems when they're small and not large.
So what if I come to you, look at my mouth, and there's a hodgepodge of all kinds of different things going on?
Well, sometimes, in some cases, a hodgepodge isn't necessarily bad. Sometimes you have an old gold inlay or a gold crown that looks good and functions well. When that happens, there may be no reason to change it. Sometimes you have broken down fillings, and this is one we have in our hygienist Amy's room. There's a difference and you have a choice. Today with materials, we've talked in the past about old silver fillings. Silver's worked well, and sometimes you can leave it in. When it's replaced, though, today we use composites. The first tooth on the left is a regular filling. The back is a porcelain crown and a porcelain inlay. It not only looks good, Lori, but it holds the tooth together. And that's where you meet with your dentist to decide what are your options, what are the costs, what's appropriate for you.
And what's in there, what can stay and what has to go.
Absolutely, and that requires a lot of concentrated work on the dentist's part.
All right, can you give us some examples?
Yeah, and I thought I would, because some people in this out with the old and in with the new have different ideas. Some people want to do it all at once and some people want to stage it. So this is a woman who came to me and she had, if you will, hodgepodge, and she told me because of financial reasons she sort of did dentistry by emergency. She'd break something, she'd develop a hole, and things were patched up. And those are financial considerations sometimes, or it can be a time situation. So she never liked the way her front tooth looked. She said she was embarrassed. And again, she wanted to do it in stages, and today dentists have financing. We offer her these no-interest 12-month things. But we were able to do 4 porcelain veneers in the front, and in the lower teeth, because she couldn't commit to that at the time, and that's fine. It has to be the right fit. We just did some reshaping, we did some whitening that brought out a little, but she said for the first time in her life she's proud of what she had. Here's a woman who was unhappy with a lot of things. Out with the old, you see in the back teeth in the before, she had an old crown on the right and she had some old silver fillings. She also didn't like the way her lower front teeth looked and did not want to go through braces, 72 years old. So we reshaped them. We did porcelain veneers in front and crowns in the back. So sometimes the hodgepodge lends itself to redoing, in this case, a combination of veneers and crowns.
So it doesn't seem like there's any one right answer.
There's not one right answer, and that's why the dentist has to really spend a lot of time on evaluating pros and cons of different restorations.
Okay.
Here's a patient where anteriorly this young girl had played as a kid and broken a tooth and eventually came to me with that tooth lost. Her parents, who are both physicians, said they want her to have a beautiful smile. She's in nursing school. When the front tooth comes out, we actually used an implant. We didn't want to involve those teeth on either side as a bridge, and did this porcelain veneers on 3 teeth and an implant in the front. And with different materials, we use different things. If it's in the back, we might use something else. So today there are a lot of choices. You just have to use your dentist and work with them to get the desired result.
All right. Spring cleaning means deciding what needs to stay and what needs to go. And afterward, everything looks and works better. The same goes for your smile. To make sure your smile is ready for a bright new season, give Steve a call. His number's next.
See what Dr. Stephen Marsh can do for your smile by calling 440-461-1003 or visit www.clevelandsmiles.com. Next, take a sentimental journey. It's time to get up and go, an exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness, and today we are going to work our rear delts and our trap muscles by doing a reverse fly utilizing our exercise ball. This is a great exercise that will help us keep a nice strong upper body. We're going to start by laying our torso on the exercise ball. We're going to have our dumbbells out in front of us with our arms slightly bent. We want a good amount of distance between our elbows on this one. We're simply going to open, keeping that bend, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and bring them back to the starting position. Okay, so all the way open, squeeze, and close. Remember, you want to take deep breaths with each exercise. 12 to 15 repetitions is a great place to start. How you feeling? I'm on the ball. All right, you're doing great. Squeeze your abs to engage your core, and now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, please send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 23240 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 450, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
Ready to take a trip? How about a trip back in time when travel was an exciting extravagance? Gail Marie Ford is going to be our guide as we take a virtual tour with one of Ohio's most famous families. Gail Marie is the Vice President of Outreach and Communication at Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So, the theme is influential journey. How come not sentimental journey?
Well, as you know, F.A. Seiberling was the owner of Stan Hewitt and the co-founder of Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And he and his family truly loved to travel, and they did it for enjoyment, but also to gain ideas and to influence their decisions when they were building Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens.
Oh, okay.
They also liked to travel. They certainly spent a lot of time in Europe to gather that inspiration, but they also liked to spend a lot of time traveling out west and to their home up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan called Cedar Lodge.
Oh, is that the cabin?
That's the cabin in Hessel, Michigan, yes.
All right. So, yeah, Stan Hewitt is huge, too. They needed a lot of influence.
They did, and they had a large family as well.
So sometimes they traveled by land and they traveled by sea as well.
That's right, and we reflect all of those modes of travel in our exhibits this year. Inside the Manor House, we are focusing on the family story of travel, and the center, we're going to cover every aspect from the planning of their visits all the way through the actual journey itself. And the centerpiece is a 16-foot-long replica of the RMS Lusitania, and it's one of the ships that the family actually sailed on when they traveled to Europe.
Okay.
And it's made entirely of toothpicks, 193,000 of them.
How many feet was that again?
16 feet long.
Holy cow.
So it's going to be the centerpiece.
I got to
of the
be
Great
there and
Hall.
see that one.
You will definitely want to see that. It's a pretty exciting exhibit that we're really thrilled to have on display.
And when they went on a road trip?
Yes, well, obviously Akron is where tires were started, and so we are very excited about the car shows that we have. One is our annual Father's Day car show. We're entering our 57th year, and it's every year in June, obviously. And this year we're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Mustang.
Ooh, there it is, the muscle
exciting.
car.
Yes, one of the muscle cars. And then we're bringing a brand new show to the estate this year, the Concorde d'Elegance. And so that's a celebration of all of the rare and priceless vintage automobiles. But it's also more than that. We're having an entire weekend that celebrates the art of fine living. So style and fashion and teas and music and insiders tours of the gardens and the grounds and the manor house.
And when is that?
That is September 19th through the 21st. The show itself is on the 21st, and all the other events lead up to that starting on Friday.
All right, that sounds like something to look forward to. So, but we know that even if they traveled, and we all travel, that there's no place like home.
That's right.
So, and Stan Hewitt's going to have a new home place, right?
Yes, we absolutely are. And we're very much a family destination, and one of the things we're very excited about is we're introducing Play Garden this season. It's a 5,000 square foot interactive garden.
Okay,
This is a rendering.
Oh, rendering.
This is a rendering, and of course the weather has really hampered us a little bit.
Yeah, it's been pretty nasty.
But it does open in May, and we feel that we're going to be on schedule. There are actually, it's for every generation of the family. There are 6 interactive experiences inside of this footprint, and they all replicate some aspect of the estate itself. So, for instance, there's a 15-foot tall Tudor-style manor house, or excuse me, playhouse that's a part of the garden, and a splash fountain, and a motor garden, and a bowling lawn, and all the features that kids will absolutely love.
Oh, can't wait. Sounds really great for this summer. So you can take a terrific trip without traveling too far from home. Just pack yourself into the car and head to Stan Hewitt in Akron. Stan Hewitt opens its season Tuesday, April 1st, and the ticket to complete information is coming up next. My thanks to Gail Marie for traveling to see us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information, call Stan Hewitt at 330-836-5533 or click to www.stanhewitt.org. Next, deflate the inflating costs of nursing home care.
Hilltop Village Apartments is retirement living at its best. Residents enjoy a wide variety of activities and living services with all large first-floor apartments, private screened-in patios with beautiful park views, daily dining room meals, free laundry facilities, 24-hour staff, and so much more. Enjoy safe, comfortable independence at a very affordable price. Call today for a tour and learn how you can get your first month's rent free. Hilltop Village Apartments, retirement living at its best.
Did you miss a phone number or website? Then here's your second chance, because we're going to list all of that information again. Then we'll be back to tell you how to think long-term about long-term care costs. We've talked in the past about buying long-term care insurance to pay for nursing home costs. For some people that makes sense, but with nursing home costs going up year after year, will your insurance coverage keep pace? Here with some vital tips is my pace-setting law partner, Mike Solomon. So, how much do nursing homes cost these days?
Well, in Northeast Ohio, they can average between $6,000 to $7,000 a month. Now, some are less, but some are much more costly.
I've heard of some up to $10,000 a month. So how much nursing home insurance coverage should I be buying?
Well, Lori, there's no easy answer, but let's say, for example, you buy $150 a day coverage, so that would be $4,500 a month, and if you have, let's say, a pension and Social Security around $2,000 a month, that would give you around $6,500 protection, and that can possibly cover you, again, on your needs. So you may need a little bit more, you may need a little bit less. But you don't want to buy more insurance than you need because it's going to charge you for that.
Yeah, it's more expensive,
Right.
of course. But don't I have to consider the cost? The nursing home cost is going to increase in the future. Isn't that right?
Well, that's right. Long-term care costs have been increasing at a faster rate than inflation. So you do have to think about the costs in the future, and you might want to consider when you buy a policy to get some sort of inflation protection on it.
Okay, well, what does that mean? What's inflation protection?
What it is you buy, when you buy the policy, you buy an inflation rider, and that's going to give you increased benefits year to year. Each year it's going to increase. It might be, a typical one might be a 5% increase, or a lower one be a 3%, or sometimes it's just the consumer price index. You just have it go up by the consumer price index. Another option might be you just say, well, I'm going to buy more protection than I need now because in the future it's going to cost me more.
Okay, so instead of buying $150 a day, maybe $175 or $200 a day,
right.
something like that.
Right.
So is there really one answer for people?
No, unfortunately there's no one size fits all. So what you really need to do is sit down and look at these various options, get the cost from the insurance agent, what it's going to cost, then you have to decide what you can afford and what's going to hit your needs.
So what kind of insurance agent? Somebody who specializes in the long-term care?
You want to get someone who knows what they're doing in that area. There are lots of different types of insurances and a lot of different rules, so you want to get someone who knows what they're doing in that area.
Yeah, because we don't want one-size-fits-all
That's
policies.
right.
So if you buy long-term care insurance, you don't want to get caught short. Buying $150 a day coverage now may not help much if the costs go way up in the future. Take Mike's advice to make sure you get the protection that makes the most sense for you.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information or to schedule a speaker for your organization. We also offer free CEUs and CCMs for nurses, social workers, and case managers. Or log on to www.bssplaw.com.
Thanks for joining us. On next week's show, you know the motto, be prepared. But for a trip to the emergency room, we'll help Scouts Honor. Then we'll offer advice for understanding annuities. That tingling feeling may be touching on trouble that we got to talk about. We'll navigate what you need to know about neuropathy. And we'll prescribe a healthy dose of information about your health insurance. Until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.